Salutations everybody, it is Maddie here today and we have a doozy of a story to go through. So Chris Avellone, who was formerly a writer at Obsidian Entertainment and he is now doing freelance work, did a large interview at the RPG Codex, which I will have linked in the description down below, and let's just say that shit is blowing up right now. The following information that I'm going to be quoting comes from resetera.com, that will also be linked in the description down below, and we just gotta get right into this, man. You guys aren't gonna believe what is going down between Obsidian and Chris Avellone. Chris was talking about what happened when he left Obsidian. Here's what he had to say. I didn't get anything when I left Obsidian. There were no share payouts, no equity, and this was in addition to the other logistical problems around the departure, the sudden cancellation of my health insurance, problems with my 401k, errors in Obsidian's accounting, and several existing independent contracts they refused to uphold. Realizing my family issues and the debts therein, however, they did make an attempt to leverage that info into a far more confining separation that would remove my right to work on RPGs and my silence on all issues that could pertain to Obsidian or any other company they were involved with or the CEO had a percentage in. This included an inability to critique games I'd worked on. Much of my critiques of my own games tend to be blunt, and not being able to speak to them felt unnatural to me. The company involvement silence worried me more, however, as it meant that if anything illegal happened with any of those companies, those can include serious charges like accounting issues, silence on harassment issues with regards to employees, perjury related to company documents and payments, I couldn't speak about the issue even if I felt strongly against what was being revealed. While all this is good for Obsidian's upper management and is what is sometimes considered good business, I did feel it showed a lack of ethics. Still, that attempt at leverage did cause me to reevaluate aspects of my life. Realizing debt was affecting my decision, I instead focused on working as hard as possible to make up for the amount Obsidian tried to use as leverage to force a signature, and succeeded. When that happened, I realized I was free of the situation, completely free for the first time. Fergus and the owners had no hold on my voice, my time, and my creativity any longer, and it was great. When they made me an offer to contract to write for Tyranny, these were the reasons I refused. I didn't wish to be part of Obsidian's upper level development process and their pipelines any longer, as these processes were coming from a bad place, and it showed. Also, realizing there was no restitution for the issues mentioned, I made a promise to myself that nothing I would do would ever cause Fergus and the owners any further financial gain. If my silence was that important to them, then there's no need to be silent because that right hadn't been signed away. Simply put, I like the developers at Obsidian very much. I work and correspond with many of those who are there or have left, and I would work with the developers again. I do feel upper management at Obsidian has serious flaws that need to be addressed, and I stand by that statement. Now, the way this situation gets dicey is not only did Chris throw a lot of mud at a company, but then Eric Fenstermaker comes in and offers his own perspective on the entire issue, which I will have linked down below, and pretty much offers his own perspective on what Chris had told us through his interview with RPG Codex. So a lot of what this issue ends up being is 1,000,001 perspectives and everyone pointing the gun at one another. We're not sure exactly what the truth is in this story. It could just be an unfortunate situation with Obsidian with one employee, and that employee happened to be Chris Avellone, which I'm shocked with how they treated them. I trust Chris as a friend personally, but I look at this situation and I'm stunned because Obsidian's a company I think all of us look at and go, these are the type of game developers we respect. And when we see upper management doing stuff like this, it's just appalling. And for those of you out there who have listened to the podcast before, myself and Carrick have mentioned before that there have been issues with upper management with Obsidian, but you think someone like Chris Avellone, who helped build this company, made it reputable, and was such a key part of their biggest games, that they wouldn't do something along the lines of this where they try to silence him and force him to never work on what he loves to do ever again. I mean, that just blows my mind that someone could ever do that. What kind of heart do you have to be able to do that to someone's passion like that? I don't mean to diss on Obsidian because like Chris said, and he does give credit where credit's due, and he does respect that there are employees there who are awesome, and I believe the same thing. But when you look at this from upper management, especially someone as myself who has complimented Fergus on many occasions, I'm not going to let my opinion drastically change on him, but I do have to say that I want to see the company respond to this in some way, shape, or form. I'm sure they won't. From what I see here, this just is too dirty for Obsidian, and I feel they need to come clean on something and really put the issue out there and stomp it out and solve things with Chris, because this is just disappointing as someone who's a big fan of both the person Chris Avellone as well as the company Obsidian. But I'm looking forward to your guys' take. I mean, this interview, all the beef that goes on with Eric and Chris, it is quite a read. You'll be there for a while. So I wanted to cover the main chunk of this, the main mud that's being tossed around, and get Chris's take on everything. And I'm looking forward to hearing everyone's take on this in the comments down below, so fire away, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.